New York Giants receiver Sterling Shepard has become one of the most easiest players to root for on this team. Sterling Shepard is not only one of the best route runners in the NFL, he's also one of the best slot receivers in the NFL, but he never was able to show it through the numbers. He was never able to show it through games played. Is this the season where Sterling Shepard finally turns the corner? What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. Before we start this video, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Today, I want to talk about Sterling Shepard. Now, like I said in the intro, Sterling Shepard is one of the most easiest players on this team to root for. Obviously, you guys know his similarities to, like, you know, especially when in the late Victor Cruz days, him coming in, it was almost like him being a Victor Cruz like replacement, right? And as that slot receiver type role. Sterling Shepard, coming out of Oklahoma, was one of my favorite receivers in that draft in 2016, and I remember watching him at my job. I worked at a fast food restaurant, and at my job I saw Sterling Shepard on TV. It was like Path to the Draft or something like that, and I'm like, man, this guy is like a future Giant. Like, I could definitely see the Giants drafting this kid as being like a Victor Cruz replacement, you know, a slot receiver that we could use to, you know, kind of ease our way away from Victor Cruz if he were not to come back, because that was the year that he eventually came back, but we didn't really know about him. But Sterling Shepard, like I said, is very easy to root for. You know, he had that number 3 in college because it's in remembrance of his father, who passed away early on in his life, and he had the ability this year to go ahead and change his jersey number from 87 to number 3 as the NFL allows single digit numbers from receivers, and so obviously that's something that he did. And he has a great story. And listen, he's one of a lot of people's favorite players on this team. It's because he is so talented. I'm not even joking with you guys. Sterling Shepard, go watch his film, go watch his college tape. He is one of the most crisp, most accurate route runners in the NFL, and he does most of that stuff in the slot. A lot of people have that whole debate whether he's a slot receiver, outside receiver. It doesn't matter. He is a fantastic receiver. The only thing that's really been plaguing Sterling Shepard are the injuries, the concussions. I know he had a toe injury. He had about 3 or 4 concussions with the New York Giants, 2 back-to-back. So it's definitely not looking good for Sterling Shepard. I remember back in, I believe it was 2019 or 2020, last year maybe, Sterling Shepard had those back-to-back concussions, and everybody was questioning, man, should he really just hang up the cleats? Should he really just walk away from the game if he wants to, you know, stay healthy throughout his life? Because at the end of the day, this is pretty much just a game, and, you know, it's NFL stands for not for long. You still got a whole life to live after the NFL, and you always want to make sure you keep yourself healthy first. A lot of players have done this in the past. You see it mostly with like linebackers, running backs, right? Luke Kuechly, Chris Borland, right? A lot of these guys who just retired in their prime because of health concerns, especially to their head. I believe that was Luke Kuechly and Chris Borland's deal as well. So you can imagine Sterling Shepard was probably trending down that road. Why am I mentioning Sterling Shepard right now? Well, it turns out he's having a fantastic camp so far, as him obviously being the longest tenured New York Giant, and he's only been a New York Giant since 2016, which is, what, 5-6 years ago, and yet he is the longest tenure player on the team. You can see one tweet from Art Stapleton saying, other camp observations, Sterling Shepard looks great. He dropped his first pass yesterday in the red zone drill, and there was a gasp of patio / media viewing area. That's how good he looked, and so he's looking absolutely fantastic right now, and I'm cheering him on because he is in his second year of his big deal. His contract after his rookie contract that he signed back in 2019, but it was started coming into effect in 2020. So here in 2021, this is his second year of his contract. He's due a $9 million cap hit this season, $10 million in dead cap. So obviously there was no chance of pretty much moving him, or not really a point in moving him this season, as a lot of people said. But next season could be a season that we may see Sterling Shepard off the New York Giants, and that's something I do not want to happen. So if there's any time where Sterling Shepard kicks it up a notch and tries to stay healthy as best as he can, it is this season if he wants to remain a New York Giant. Obviously the Giants have addressed receiver in the past, you know, starting with like Darius Slayton, and then they just drafted Kadarius Toney, and they just brought in Kenny Galladay. You know, they're starting to revamp this wide receiving core a bit, and you could see Sterling Shepard kind of be kicked out the door a little bit if he doesn't, you know, keep up his production. In fact, boost up his production, especially games played, and try to keep the injuries to a minimum. Of course, that's something that's out of your control, but trying to stay the best you can out of harm's way. Next season in 2022, he has a cap hit of $10.5 million and only has a dead cap hit of $4 million. If you're a GM, if you're any type of team owner in the New York Giants building, you got to be looking at Sterling Shepard's contract and saying, that is one contract we can kind of get rid of to save some money. That is a player we can trade. That is a player that we can release to try to save some money if he doesn't, you know, produce, if he's not really worth the $10 million. Now, if we get Sterling Shepard to get like 1,000 yards this season, I don't see it happening with all the weapons that we have. But if we get Sterling Shepard to be that veteran presence, to go ahead and you know, turn that wide receiving core around and lead that wide receiving core, and he gets his way to 1,000 yards, I can definitely see him staying on the team, and that would be an absolute bargain to have him for only $10.5 million, as we're seeing wide receivers now just get quarterback-like money now in today's day and age in the NFL. So Sterling Shepard getting $10.5 million to get, you know, I guess just under 1,000 yards to 1,000 yards would be absolutely great for the New York Giants, and they'll have a better possibility of keeping him around. If we look at Sterling Shepard's stats right now, you could kind of see it's not bad, but it's not anything fantastic as well. He had a phenomenal season. My favorite season from him by far is his 2017 season, but he only played 11 games in that season, but he was absolutely monstrous in those games. Obviously, it's not his career high, which was in 2018, where he actually played all 16 games, had 107 targets, 66 receptions, 872 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He had a good season, but in my opinion, I know he only had 2 touchdowns, but that 2017 season was absolutely magical with how bad that New York Giants team was, especially offensively. And for Sterling Shepard, in the times he played, I mean, he was putting up like 150 yards a game. He was just killing competition. He was having a fantastic year in 2017, just got riddled with injuries. Now, if he could try to stay as healthy as he can, now, he had 66 receptions as well. Same thing in 2018, but he had almost 200 yards less, had 9.9 yards per reception. That is due to, obviously, Jason Garrett's scheme. That is due to the offensive line's lack of pass protection, and that's obviously due to Daniel Jones still being new to, you know, the NFL, still being, you know, a very inexperienced quarterback and someone that is still developing. So if we can get all of that stuff fixed up for 2021, Sterling Shepard should be on his way to 1,000 yards. You look at his stat lines, he is so close. Like, he is on that fringe 1,000-yard receiver, you know, type of tier. And it's honestly baffling that he's been in 5 seasons in the NFL and has never gotten to 1,000 yards. To me, I think it's absolutely insane. If you watch Sterling Shepard play, you would think he's one of the best receivers in football. But obviously, like I said, his injuries play a huge part in his lack of production over the past 5 seasons. So all Sterling Shepard has to do is try to keep his way out of harm's reach. He's having a fantastic camp right now. It would be great for him, a little redemption story, that despite all of the changes they made to this offense, you know, all the wide receivers that they brung in, it's been the receiver and, in fact, the player who's been there the longest to carry the way for the offense. I am definitely rooting for Sterling Shepard this season. I want to see him remain a New York Giant, one of my favorite New York Giants on the team. Number 3, we're cheering you on. What about you guys? Are you guys cheering on Sterling Shepard? Do you want to see him out the building? Or what do you guys want to see from Sterling Shepard? And what do you expect for him this season in 2021? For all things New York Giants and NFL things alike, I am Kid Blue, and I'll see you guys in the next video.